it in a cupboard and then no one can use it. Yeah. Hey, for you, yeah. Global affairs. I started the conversation with projects, and I followed up with some of those. So I've got a trace of some really good projects that started. I then interviewed the guys who did the and then we started to map that. On the other one as well, I mapped the other one lighter, but I also stay with and then they extend, and then you don't get a report back for 5.
Now? Ugh. Yeah. Too loud. And now it disappeared again. Hello? Yes? Okay. We'll try this one then. Excellent. Let's begin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel debate about this discussion about how we can bridge the gaps between universities and local businesses in the High North in order to keep and attract more young talent, the good brains, because that's what we want, right? We want people to come and we want people to stay. So, my name is Maja Walland Blomberg. I am currently a PhD candidate. I write my PhD in business about population development in northern Norway. I am affiliated with the High North Center for Business and Governance at Nord University Business School in Bodø. And for those of you who aren't that well acquainted with Norwegian geography, that's a city a bit further south from here. And I am working on a project called InNord, which aims to understand how we can become more people in northern Norway. InNord is one of the project partners of this event, together with Nordland County. And again, for those who aren't acquainted with Norwegian geography, that's the county just south from here. And we have one of the representatives in the panel today. And the third partner that we have is a brand new project that we actually launched during the Arctic Youth Conference just before Arctic Frontiers started, which is called Young Arctic, which is about how we can empower youth in the Arctic, especially through facilitating for networking and financing young entrepreneurs in the region. This panel is the fifth one in a series of discussions that we have related to population development in the High North. Even though my project and my research is very based on northern Norway, we want to, with these panels, we want to widen the horizons a bit and talk with people from other corners in the Arctic and get some international experience, and hopefully we can learn a bit from each other. So that's like the basic ideas of this panel. We've previously discussed how we can attract young people to the region. We've discussed how we can create attractive job markets in the region. In August, we discussed how we can how universities can contribute to create a more, or to strengthen northern Norway. And then during this discussion, there was a guy from Multiconsult who stood up in the audience and he said, why on earth are we always have to talk, why do we always have to talk about either universities or businesses separately? Why can't we talk about them together? Because there's a gap here. We need to make them talk, communicate, and collaborate better. And that's the reason we're standing here today. That's the reason we've chosen this particular topic. There is a gap. We need more collaboration, and I've hand-selected some very good panelists who have hands-on experience and insight into this dilemma. Maybe something already works, and just needs some improvement. We will see. 3 main questions will be asked during this panel. The first one is a question that I think is getting way too little attention in the public debate. That is, what competences are sought after by businesses in the High North? Is it the same as anywhere else? What's the typical competences? What are the competence, the knowledge that we actually need in the Arctic? The second question is, what are the barriers to recruiting talent in the region? And this is a question going both to universities, but also, of course, the businesses, because the universities are very kind of like the springboard into professional life, often, not always. And also, how can universities and businesses collaborate better in order to recruit more talent? And this is more or less the same question as the title of this event. So that's the one that I hope that we will spend most time discussing. A very practical reason has made it that we organize this event slightly differently than what we usually do. So there will be 3 sessions. The first one will will present the business perspective of this topic. The second session will present the university perspective. And then the third session will be a discussion about the synergy effects and how we can actually collaborate better. And I will open up for questions quite early. So if someone in here has something they want to say, a contribution, some insight they want to share, they're more than welcome to do so. And so be prepared for that. Yeah, I think we're good to... Are you ready? Excellent. I will then begin by presenting the business panelists. So Tim, Daniel, and Marianne, can you please come up to the stage? I will begin by you, Tim, so you can just keep this one. And then I will keep the other handheld one until we get the small one. Good thing we have 1.5 hours. Okay. With this one? Yes. Okay, we're back on. I want to begin with you, Tim, because since it's your colleague, that's actually the reason that we're here. Tim Fristed, you're the head of section for quality and product development in Multiconsult's office here in Tromsø. So from what I understand, you're the one who has hands-on experience with actually reaching out to students and engaging more the students in not necessarily Northern Norway, but Norwegian universities in order to come and work for you. Okay, I will give you some space and just to introduce yourself and your work.
Sure, thank you. This one works, right? My name is Tim. As I said, I've been working in Multiconsult for now 6 years. I've been starting as a head of department for marine technology, and marine technology has been like very, very like one of those sort of special disciplines for engineering in Norway, especially with all the waves, current loads and everything. So we work, or have worked, currently also do, a lot with students from NTNU, close collaborations with development projects and stuff. So we are in the, we're both leading and are contributing to research projects headed or spearheaded by NTNU. So that is one big thing where we actually contribute or cooperate with the university, and that's also where we basically recruit most of our people. We also have now recently, I think it was the first week I started here in Tromsø, there was an outreach from UiT here in town, and they asked us to get feedback on their, like, what are your thoughts on our educations? Is it too little of this, too little of that, up and down? So we started working with UiT both when it comes to aquaculture, but more recently now sustainability, which is a very important topic, and it's also been one of those things that we would like to evolve together with university. My background myself, it's meteorology and oceanography, and I've been a researcher for like 20 years in Sweden. Maybe I am the one that are further from the sort of from the south and from the southern part of Sweden. Been living all around Sweden for a while, living in the United States for about 4 years as a postdoc and a scientist. But eventually, 6 years ago, we landed here in Tromsø, where we now live and enjoy the skiing. That's one of the biggest perks about Tromsø. I don't know if I should leave the mic over to Marianne to continue. That's
Nope,
something about
not yet.
No, not
Nope.
yet. Not yet.
Nope.
Sorry about that.
No.
I'll keep the mic.
I'm not done with you yet, Tim.
Sorry.
No, but you said that this is very interesting, actually, because you say that the university that you recruit most students from is NTNU.
That is true.
It's in Trondheim, not in northern Norway. What kind of competencies are you looking for there that you don't find at the UiT or Nord University?
It's the classical engineering disciplines, but we find that maybe at UiT or like up north, they might be like too broad, and really maybe they are like more prepared to enter research. We're not really sure how that
It's not specific
works out.
enough.
It's not specific enough. It's like in NTNU we have a good how should I say? We have a grip on what the different topics are. They can be really thin and sharp, especially up north. We have a lot of ice physics, ice loads. We develop our programs, simulation software to simulate ice loads in broken ice, for one example. Those ones are so specialized, and they don't have that anywhere else than at NTNU in Trondheim. That is one part of it.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to environmental loads for, like, say, current loads, wave loads, and all those things, we take most of our students from Bergen, UIB. It's also that they have a long tradition and a very good educational mix in disciplines, so we can use them right away. They know both how to measure and how to analyze and conclude from these ones.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the sort of classical engineering disciplines, apart from like buildings or construction. We also need concrete material. Up here in the north we have the speciality of permafrost, so that is one big topic, and there we know for sure that they have some educations around up here.
Yeah. So it's very technical.
Very technical.
Very natural science based.
Yes.
Social sciences isn't a big thing for you, is it?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe it will be.
In your administration, you might need some.
Yeah.
But it's not the main thing that you're recruiting from.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What we actually need now is
Yeah.
that we need like leading or like directing
Yeah.
a number of disciplines. That is one discipline in itself.
Right.
That we will
Leadership
need.
and management.
Leadership and management.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Okay. Good. So there is hope for social scientists as well.
There's always hope.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I want to move on to. I'll take ladies last, actually. Yes, Daniel. Daniel Björman Simonsen, you are the Director of Communications and Business Policy at Nova C. Well, you've done many things. We know you from NHO. You've been involved in the local politics for a very long time. Nova C is, for those who don't know, is one of the companies located at a very small place called Låven, which is actually famous in Norway for being one of the rural local communities that has actually managed to create a population growth. You have several businesses and a very vibrant community, and I'm actually studying Låven as one of my cases for my thesis. So I'm very interested to hear your take on this. What do you experience are the main competences needed, and what are the barriers in order to recruit students from local universities, if there are some, or if you're just like, get so many applications that it's difficult to choose, and it's no problem at all actually recruiting for you?
Well, in that case, I have to say we're quite privileged. We actually had one position out now, and it was 76 applications. So it says a bit about the company, of course, but also the industry. But I have to start with also saying that I'm 4 weeks in my position, so don't expect all the answers today, but you will probably get most of them. I'm a quite modest guy, as you know. Yeah, well, Lovund is a quite amazing place. Of course, it's in the outskirts of the coastline in Nordland County, and it's beautiful nature and exotic, and that, of course, brings many young people. So we actually have the lowest average age in the population in Norway, in one community. Yeah, it's crazy. So young people moving out to a place where they have one pub and one restaurant. Yeah, imagine that. We also have a coffee shop. Yeah, the Norwegian type. Yeah. So it's a magnificent society, and the businesses like Nova Sea really invest in the community, local community, not only in Lovund, but along the whole coastline. I have to mention that Nova Sea is the 5th largest aquaculture company in Norway, but locally owned and very invested in the local community. And that matters. So we invest in housing, invest in all the recreational activities possible. So to be a very small place, it's very urban and has a lot of activity services for the people. And that, of course, matters. But still, the main challenge in Northern Norway is not to recruit, it's to keep people staying there for a long time. And that's a challenge, also in Nova Sea.
I bet.
I don't know if I answered the question, but I don't
You
care.
kind of did, yeah, but
I'm
it
new
was
in
a
my
very
job,
good
so.
start. Yeah, that was a very good start to answer the question. When it comes to competencies, what do you need? Do you only need people with a speciality in aquaculture, or do you need people with all sorts of?
Of course, our main concern is producing salmon. So we need farmers and operators and so on, but we need more or less all professions in administration, lawyers, HR people, and so on, and accounting, everything. So it's a huge company, it's 500 employees, so of course we need different kinds of competences, and some are more easy to recruit than others.
Yes.
And
Such as?
Both University in Tromsø and North University have good educations in fisheries and aquaculture, which makes it easier to recruit that kind of people, of course.
Yeah, but that's good. So this is actually a very good example that you're able to take advantage of the good students that Nord University and UiT produce. If you can say produce students, it's competencies, knowledge, yes. I have another question, because the aquaculture business has, with recent revelations pointing to poor animal welfare, environmental concerns, do you experience any like downfall or any skepticism towards working in aquaculture? Is that something that with 76 applications for one position recently, it doesn't sound like it, but maybe it's a number that's gone down. Is it troubling for Nova Sea at all?
Well, it's quite different from company to company, and as you pinpointed, it's a problem with animal welfare in some part of the industry. Not every company has that problem. And we market ourselves based on what we actually do, and we have very good animal welfare, and we're very proud about it. There's no company, there's no people, there's nothing without the salmon. So we breed the salmon, we prioritize to actually investing in animal welfare. And when we meet students or college students or the people we need, we talk about openly and honestly what we actually do, and also what challenges we're working on to improve.
Yes.
All the time. So being honest and open about the problems, and also how we are working and investing in solving them, is very important for the trust between us and the candidates applying for our jobs.
Yes. That's very reassuring, because that was what I was hoping you'd say, that the young people today, that they're so preoccupied with fighting the climate challenges and helping the animal welfare, that's maybe a drive, a motivation to actually start and contribute into the sector. Good. Let's move on to Marianne. you are Marianne Dobak Kvensjø, you are the deputy chair of the government, the county government in Nordland. You're affiliated with the Conservative Party and you're currently the deputy representative to the Norwegian Parliament. Nordland is one of the leading counties in Norway in marine business. So I bet this is quite reflective of the knowledge that you see that we need. So now we're taking kind of a step back in this, because you have the broader overview of industry and business in Nordland. Can you give us some of your insight on that?
Yeah, I think we have three main businesses. It's energy, it's the seed food sector, and it's industry. And I think the problem is how to keep them, because like Daniel said, we do have people who want to come and work here, but how do we keep them over time? And it's not only a good job, it's what kind of activities do you have after jobs? Do you have a good school? Do you have a kindergarten? Do you have, like they have a bar and they have a cafe? Yeah. In the place that you could, you did have to. Yeah. So I think that you have to think about the whole community. And I think we have to think a little bit different, because I think the young generation and the young people who are going to go out from the studies and are finished are a little bit different than the generation before. So I think one of the main things that we do, we work with the local businesses, we work with the local communities to try to find out how do we keep them, what is the important things to the young people. So I think that's the main issues right now.
So the main issues for you then is societal development beyond the actual bridge, the contact. You're finding reasons for them to stay other than just work.
It's the both. You can, because you can separate them. Because I think that they apply to work, they also check out, okay, what's in these local areas? Do you have a good school if you come with children, if you want children? Do you have activities? What can you do? If you live in rural areas, how do you get to a big city with more cultural activities? I think you have to can't separate the work and the after work. You have to think of it together.
So what would you say is the biggest barrier? Because it's strange that Bodø is experiencing a growth. Tromsø is experiencing a growth. Låven is experiencing a growth. So it's not the number of cafes that's actually the issue. What do you think is the issue?
I think the issue is you have to have a good job, and you have to have it not in the largest city in the north, but all over. And when you got the job, we have to make sure that you're going to stay. So first the job, and then we have to have a good community.
Social life. Very good. I also want to ask you a question, Marianne, because I know as a representative for Nordland County, you also have quite a lot to do with children's education. And also starting with people who are from 12 to 18 years old, not only, it starts from a very early stage where you want to maybe encourage them to see the opportunities in the region. So when they get like really restless at the age of 18 and they need to leave just because they want to experience or get some international experience, then maybe after a while they can come back. Are you, how do you work strategically with this, or is this something that you just don't care about?
Oh, we do care about it. Yes, we work strategically with it. I think that our main concern is that many young people, it's not a concern that they take education. And many want to go abroad. Many people go to Oslo or Trondheim, but they are not coming back because they get job opportunities south that we can't provide. So I think that we have to work with every people that we send out of the county or out of the north. We have to work very hard to get back.
So every person is an investment. Excellent. I think we need to move on. So you, Marianne, you can stay. You gentlemen, you can go back down. And then I will want to invite up Diane and Vetle, please, to discuss the university perspective of this. Yes, thank you. I agree. Have we given up this microphone? Or we can just keep doing like this. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. Excellent. Welcome. Diane, I want to take an even further step back to get an even broader view on this issue. Diane Hirschberg, you are the director of the Institute of Social and Economic Research and a professor of education policy at the University of Alaska Anchorage. You are also vice president academic for the University of the Arctic, also known as UArctic. And you are one of the partners of the Young Arctic Project that is co-organizing this event. You have many hats, Diane. So listening to some of the challenges and some of the things that we talk about is challenging in northern Norway. Do you see some similarities to Alaska?
So I see similarities and then I see some big differences. A lot of that is in North America, our norths are not nearly as developed. And so, and that is both infrastructure and economy, that we are still largely resource extractive economies. And so when we talk about trying to attract young people to the north and to keep our young people, there's some real challenges because the best paying jobs in some cases continue to be in the oil industry, where you're going up to a place where people do not live year round, working for 2 weeks and leaving. And although we have some new initiatives for local hire, we still have a lot of people who come from Texas and Hawaii and Oklahoma to work in our oil fields. And at the same time, we unfortunately, I think, lack some vision for what does it mean to create a more multifaceted economy that does value-added manufacturing. When I come to the Nordic countries and I see whether it's being able to drive around northern Norway and not have to worry if I can find a charging station for an electric car. I can't charge a car in Los Angeles. But also that I'm seeing, I was saying in Finland, when a reindeer is slaughtered, the antlers are used for tourist things, and the hides are used to make high fashion leather clothing, as well as tourist goods, and of course the meat is being eaten by both indigenous and non-Sami peoples. And in Alaska, caribou are a subsistence food that there is no value added to it, and that is an example that strands through our economy, and so we're really not thinking proactively. I think the other piece, which I do think is a problem in the north, I know it's a huge problem in Iceland, for example, is housing. That is the other piece, is that we are so underdeveloped. We have huge issues with inadequate housing across the north. And, we see it in families having to double and triple up in housing that may or may not have running water in some places.
Right. And electricity, maybe.
Yeah.
No, but so the stability aspect of this seems very like a big barrier. What kind of competencies do you think that would help with this? What does local businesses seek, or do they contact you as you university, and is it how is that dialogue?
So we actually we recently had an out-migration gathering where we were talking about Alaska. This year we seem to maybe have stopped it temporarily, but we've been losing population for the last 11 or 12 years. And one of the challenges is the people we're not attracting back. It's not that we're having fewer babies, it's that when young people leave to go outside for university, they don't come back, and working age people are not coming. So our businesses are looking for people, in a lot of cases, with basic competencies. So the ability to think critically and be able to work independently. We actually, I'd say, have a mismatch between what some of our university leadership says in terms of trying to move us toward a more technical and vocational set of preparation on specific skills, and what some of our businesses are saying in terms of people needing the broader ability to show up ready to work with innovative ways of thinking and not waiting for somebody else to have to give them the answer when a problem arises. So it's an interesting mismatch. We do need technical skills, particularly our nursing shortage is phenomenal. I mean, healthcare workers in general. We have lots of really good preparation for people who want to work in oil field industry. But some of the other places, we do not prepare near enough teachers or nurses or some of these other service industries that make it possible for people to live in the state and work in these other spaces.
Thank you. I think, especially when you mention all of this, nursing, we also need nurses. We need people with medical education. We need people with technical education. Vetle, I feel like this spoke to you kind of because you also have a background in vocational professions. Do you say that? Vocational? Yeah, college.
A vocational college degree, yeah.
Also, but you are here because you are the leader of the student parliament at University of Tromsø. You're currently enrolled in the master's program of leadership, innovation, and market, so you can apply for some of the jobs at Tim's place. Yeah, yeah. But you're also a southerner who has moved all the way from really down south in Norway. So you have many interesting aspects about you, and into this panel. You also participated in the previous panel during Arendalsuka, and so you did such a good job that it was only natural for me to invite you back. So how do you? I know that the student parliament that you work on this, and this is like a thing that you discuss a lot. What's your take on this?
So the student parliament, we work for the students. It's the student democracy at UiT, and we try to take all of the aspects from the students and then try to try to persuade the university, the local government, also the welfare actors around campus to do it the way the students want it. Because that's a really important aspect. How do the students want these changes to be in the future?
Are you tempted? Yeah, but can you elaborate a bit more on that? What do students want?
So
3 words, no joke.
Or 3 words, yeah. No, something that we've been discussing a lot and something that we've been focusing a lot because we've heard it from a lot of the students at UiT is trainee programs and internship programs, connecting the students to the local businesses where they study. So UiT have campuses all over the northern Norway, and we do really think that it applies to most of the studies you can take, including like business degrees as well. Having a trainee program, getting to know the businesses before you settle down or apply later on is very important and something that we feel that needs to be strengthened, especially in the north, because you can build the local community. But you need the students to know the local community as well. They need to feel like they're a part of it to build it.
Yeah, thank you. So are you tempted to stay and find work in northern Norway? Is it?
So I've lived in the north of Norway for 3 years now. The last year, being the leader of the student parliament, this is a question I've been asked about weekly.
Yeah.
And my question is very direct to it. I really do want to live in the northern Norway, but I want to be a part of it and build it. Not just be in the crowd, but feel like I'm helping moving northern Norway towards a more prominent future.
Yeah, excellent. And do you see that you will do this through your vocational background, maybe, or is it more like in the management? This is it's maybe a very, very difficult question for you to to answer this since you're not done yet. But
No, but the vocational college and before that 2 years trainee program with an exam also gives you very good insight what the local businesses really need new people to do and how they need to understand the local area. So I think I'll use it as a combination of trying to get a more organizational work, preferably within an area that also has technical attributes, so I can contribute in a broader spectrum.
Thank you. Marianne, now that you're in the university panel, tuition fees. Because do we only want to recruit people from Northern Norway, or do we want some people to come from other places as well? Are we creating this with today's policies with very expensive fees for people coming from outside the EU wanting to study in Northern Norway? How does that impact, do you think, the student recruiting? Sorry.
I think it's have a negative effect. I think
It's a very leading question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, because since 2023, when the students outside of EU have to pay tuitions, we see that there's less students who apply for our universities. And that's a big problem because many of them we have to recruit from outside of Europe, from other countries. We need every people and every person who come as a student to the University of Tromsø or Nord University, and how to make them stay. So I think that you have to probably maybe you should have a different kind of fees, like in the Northern Norway. You can recruit from all of the world and from US, EU countries as well. And outside of EU, and then when you are in the south, when you probably don't have the same problem.
Yeah, exactly. Do you, maybe Diane, do you experience some same issues? Because I know education in the US is quite expensive as well. Does it have any effect on your recruiting students from either from other places in America, but also from other places in the world?
Actually, that's one of the advantages that we have in Alaska, is the University of Alaska is one of the most affordable public university systems in the country. The problem is our cost of living, because of, you add to the cost of living the cost of transportation to get there. That can be a bit tough. But really, we have been trying to market ourselves much more, and in fact been offering students who come from elsewhere an opportunity to have resident tuition if they live in our dorms and take a full-time load. So it becomes very affordable. The problem is we don't have enough housing. We've got 250 students on our waiting list, and right now, no focus whatsoever on building more housing, which again becomes a huge barrier. And the housing barrier, our university is next to Alaska Pacific University and 2 hospitals, all of whom have, medical professionals, students, faculty, all of whom need housing. And so we're beginning to, at least some of us on the faculty, push with our municipality to say, why aren't we doing mixed housing that could attract, could serve students, could serve professionals, and have mixed in there low-income housing for our people who are currently unhoused. That's a strategy that's worked very well for places like University of Southern California. USC is in Los Angeles. It's terribly expensive to live there, but they've got mixed housing that has revitalized urban areas around the USC campus.
But student housing is a problem in Norway as well, isn't it? Yeah. Do you have any, especially with regards to international students, do they maybe get like a priority when it comes to student housing, or how is it for them?
So everyone applies on the same line and get put in an apartment on the same basis. But what we see is that the international students more frequently would like to live in them. So that's another problem that we have. How do we get the Norwegian students to prefer the student housing options? But we do have two little housing opportunities as well. Tromsø, I think, is the second most expensive town to rent in all of Norway. So that's kind of sets the picture
really
for how
does.
it is to live in the north.
Yeah, yeah. And electrical prices are luckily not too expensive in northern Norway, but still, it's compared to other countries, it's expensive, I guess. Yeah, thank you. I think I want to bring up the business again. Unless, Marianne, do you have any points that you want to elaborate on? You can, yeah? So Daniel and Tim, please come up again. No, Diane, you're staying.
This is panel number 3.
Now we're session number 3. Yeah, I do you stay. Yes. No. Do we have another glass, please, of water? Can I ask someone? Aren't you a volunteer? Yes, I was asked to ask you anything. Can you get us another glass? Another glass of water, please.
And the meaning of life.
Yes, that too. And how we can build better bridges between... No, I'm just joking. Poor guy. Now that we've kind of identified the many barriers and the difficulties maybe between in trying to improve the contact between local businesses and universities in the region, now is when we actually discuss the solution. So I've asked you to hold back the good points. We'll save the best for last. And I know that some of you have touched upon this, which is absolutely natural. So, but I want to maybe start with you then, Daniel. Now that you heard the university and student perspective, how can you improve to maybe, should you just enlarge your business? What works? And can something work better? Because for you, it actually seems to be working quite well.
Yeah, I actually asked a business trainee in our company, a question: what could we improve in doing as a company? But actually, he only came up with points pointing at the government: better infrastructure, better incentives on student loans, and such things. His name is Sigurd, and he's actually educated on University of Tromsø. So it shows that the local candidates is an asset. He's from Trondheim, with no attached to Northern Norway before. Well, I think what we could do more is to collaborate with the universities on internship programs. We have this trainee program, as I mentioned, a business trainee. It's not something we do in collaboration with any university, because the programs existing today are not relevant for us. So it must be more branch or industry specific programs if it's going to be relevant, because it's a basis of recruiting candidates. So more relevant and flexible internship or trainee programs in collaboration with universities is a good way to go, and that's something that both parties should contribute to, both the university and the businesses. So that's one concrete specific thing that I think we could do more.
Yeah, thank you. Tim?
Yes.
Do you, yes.
Grab that mic.
Yeah, grab that.
Yeah. Should I just continue on Daniel's? I'll just latch on to that one, because I was thinking about this, and thanks for all the input, because we've been sort of having this line of like, these are the problems, and these are the problems, and these are the problems, but there are solutions to it. And one thing that we really see is that we've gotten the feedback from both trainees and students that we have a Must Arctic program, and the students there, they've said like the applied side. When they come to us, they get to work on real projects. They're just, they get to use our tools, the tools they don't get to use in school maybe, but they're just so phenomenally happy about like getting their hands dirty, if I should say so, working with real problems with already educated engineers. And they're so happy about it. And so having this applied side to it, we think it's one of the solutions. A tighter connection between the with the universities, education, and especially if you can get this, maybe we can appoint some assistant professors from industry. I know that some of them that we work with from NTNU, they have like something called Professor 2 employments. I don't know what that turns into in English, but it's like, you know, assistant professor.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clinical.
Clinical professor.
Where it's not
Yeah.
expected to be an academic long-term career, but it's a 3-year appointment.
3-year appointment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that one, for us, it becomes highly predictable, and it's one of those things. You know, when you work in the business, you say, okay, can we have the money? Yeah, we can have the money, but it's like for 2 years or 3 years or 5 years. That aspect of it is great. They can also influence or maybe direct the education, I guess, and then you get the tight connection. So it'll be a smooth transition between education and actually work. I think that's important.
Yeah, thank you. I think what is interesting here is that, you know, for both sides, both university sides and for businesses, it's important to make the need for the competence taught at the universities is the same as what is needed in the local communities. What kind of platforms can we use in order to create this? Is it enough with an email? Should we have more formalized things? Should we have regular meetings? Would you think is the most productive, useful? Do you need this at all? Is it enough for the little regular? I mean, how does policy work on this? Is it enough? That's a very broad, difficult question. I heard it, but how can we actually create a better contact? Maybe, yeah, Diane had one.
Well, I mean, this is actually the crux of it, is
Yeah.
that we need to change, you know, we talk often about transforming the institution in terms of the university, and this is one of the ways is that, you know, we're a medieval institution, we wear robes, we often have this reputation, we're up on a hill, right, looking out at the world, and we need to be working hand in hand with communities, with business partners, with our policymakers, and our students need a direct voice. I mean, we need governance to be a shared governance, not just in the sense of faculty and administrators, but in terms of the community. When I interview young people who say, I'm going through and getting my degree because I feel like I have to, they need the credential, but they don't see the relevance to themselves, either because the university does not teach entrepreneurship, or because we have a set of requirements that for them don't seem to make sense given where they want to head. So it's how do we get out of this model that really we've looked the same for hundreds of years, and also go from, if you know, those of us with credentials somehow have this privileged position to make the decisions rather than learning from our business colleagues to be client focused, learning from our communities and our indigenous colleagues on how to sit and listen instead of just talk at. I mean, there's many ways. And so in-person communication is actually quite critical. This digital communications doesn't allow us to see body language and to have informal conversations in the hallway that build relationships that need to develop in this.
Thank you. Yes, Svetle.
I think we have some arenas where it works in the modern university aspect, because we have sort of like the career days where we get to meet the businesses and talk. I think that this is a concept we might need to evolve even further to bring the businesses in, maybe elaborate even more on what they need from the students and what the students want from the businesses as well. The trainee programs is also an aspect that we might need to see on and how to improve it and make it even bigger. Not just on medicine or teacher studies, but on every aspect of the universities. Through this, businesses can also show the students what they're going to expect traveling here, as well as the businesses. I kind of feel like the businesses, when we talk about it, points to the communication between them, and the universities points to what do we need from the businesses.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's quite what we were talking about outside. You have like these big contributors pointing a finger in each direction, and then it gets twice as difficult to solve the problem because we're talking about bridging the gap on how local businesses and universities collaborate. So the collaboration is already taken some good steps. We just need to improve it and build it on a much larger scale. We need to set our foot to the floor, really. And if you imagine the University of Tromsø being the university leading in trainee programs, getting the students out to the businesses, this leads to a number of beneficial things for the universities, especially in the points of recruiting new students. As it has become now, universities almost battle for students to go to their universities, and they need the best sales point, and this could really be a sales point, especially for the north.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. But I have one. I can also say that I open up for questions now. I have a few questions myself, but if you want to say anything or have any questions, then just raise your hand. Okay, I have a few. Can I ask one question before I give you the? Thank you. I opened it up and then I took it back. Sorry, not sorry. But I have one more because I think what you two, I discovered also when we had the previous discussion today, is that you kind of take a very you have a positive approach to the width of knowledge. Because UIT has many different specialities, and you can study everything from medicine to engineering into you have everything at the UIT, and then you are encouraging more specialized knowledge, a very specific knowledge. I mean, I see both negative and positive sides to both of these, but it's difficult to find the balance, right? Should universities, do you think, then really focus on trying to become more specialized, or do you also see like the broader aspect to this?
Sure, it's a very delicate question because we need specialists definitely.
Yeah.
Norway has phenomenal specialists when it comes to, say, wave modeling. Stunning. They've developed oceanography basically from scratch when it comes to from Ekman and like the sort of the groundbreaking oceanographers. So we need specialists, but we also need generalists, definitely. Yeah. But from my perspective at Multiconsult, I need specialists. Yeah. So, yeah. But that's that topic. But I also need like people that can do other things. And one thing that has struck me here that I haven't thought of before is that when I see some of our specialists that we've recruited, they've got spouses, and the spouses couldn't get work. That's when I see that what you did in Leuven, I guess you have managed to recruit other disciplines or other type of work in that area. And I think maybe this community is not that good at like having that wider perspective. So that has actually been the fate for some of my employees, that they've been forced to move because their spouses haven't been able to find work in the area.
That's a big problem, yes. Do you want to comment on that? Yep, please.
So we spoke a little bit about how many years do you have to be in work before you start to give back really 100% to the work after you've completed your education. And I feel like it's important that the universities has specialized studies as well. But the reason I think in the broad spectrum is because if I get a job, contra one that's got a specialized degree, what we should do to measure which one was more beneficial is measure how many years until you give back the value to the company and kind of evolve it. And I think if you only focus on specialized education, you'll never get to know. So maybe that's an encouragement to try and see if it results in a different way than we think.
Very good, thank you. Yes, you can, absolutely.
I think there's a couple other pieces to this. One is thinking about multiple pathways in. One of the things that many European colleagues of mine have talked about with U.S. institutions is you can come back at any point. And our university in particular, our student body tends to be a lot of people who've gone into the workforce and needed to change their job, whether, as many of you will know, commercial fishing is a physically tough job. And if you hit 35 and you've damaged your back, now you need to go back to the university. So having pathways in for people who might not remember a thing about algebra, but they've decided they'd like to come and become, an architect or an English teacher. So that's the first. The other is to think about having very clear pathways for that highly technical education that still allows people to have some of the breadth. And mostly I think about this, and you might imagine I'm thinking about this a lot recently, is having an educated electorate, which means people do need to understand history and how policy decisions are made alongside highly technical, because I want the best possible doctors, and I want engineers who build bridges that don't collapse. We just had a walkway collapse in a windstorm in Anchorage, so, front and center.
Yeah.
But I also want that same person to be thinking thoughtfully about tax policy and funding schools, and what does that mean for our future society. And I think sometimes in the US, we see it as either or, rather than saying you can simultaneously understand history and advanced quantum theory.
Thank you. Tim asked for the word. Marianne, do you want to come back up? I think we can fit you into even though we're not supposed to.
We'll squeeze in.
We're good friends.
I was about to say, Dan, that I could use some of your old fishermen. That would be great. It's the practical aspect of some of it is that you can always study, but there is a lot of experience out there, and we have a lot of seagoing personnel, and that part is really not covered. It takes a long time to get skilled at performing measurements. It's not a thing that you will do in an afternoon. It's actually more of a piece of art. Even if there are procedures and there is a skill how you should do it, actually performing it. It's fantastic if you can get those back and get them into connection with engineers, so they can perform the measurements that should be done.
Yep. Thank you. Excellent. I will keep my promise now. I think I see the principal director of UIT in the back, and we have do we have Mr. Volunteer? Do we have to give away? Yes. Yeah. Damn it.
I'll hold on to this one then.
Yes, do that.
Dag Rune Olsen, rector at UIT, the Arctic University of Norway. Allow me a couple of comments. We have made major changes to our educational programs. We've surveyed the businesses, the industries, stakeholders in northern part of Norway. They say that not the ready-made candidate is important for them, not the highly specialized, but those who are able to both adapt to change and drive change, innovation, and disruptiveness. So exactly more or less the opposite of what you say. But of course there is a need for ready-made candidates, but we think that we can do that together with the businesses. Let me pick a couple of examples. We've developed our bachelor's program in fisheries and aquaculture together with the industry. The industry takes part in our education, and the students, they also have part of the education at the locations. We established ICT education in Bodø because Nord Universitet doesn't have that kind of educational or provide that kind of education, so we did that. We did that together with the businesses, the industries. They come with their experts into the education. They also partially pay for the program. So there's a lot of nice to be said of collaborations, but there are also some limitations because it's resource demanding for the businesses. They have to have the strength to participate in that educational program. But at least for me, if you're going to answer the bigger question here, and coming back to bridging the gap, I don't think we can ever achieve our goals at all when it comes to education in northern part of Norway if we do it on our own. If we do it solely within the university sector, we need to team up. That's absolutely vital. One brief response to what was said about Professor Thor. Well, there is a challenge. To bring lecturers into the university, that's not a big problem, but to give them those kind of titles, well, you have to have a minimum doctoral degree to have that kind of position at the university. That's legislation in Norway, so it can't be debated. And that's a problem, not in necessarily the public sector, at the university hospitals and things like that. There's a bunch of them. In the private sector, in industries in Norway, because it's low tech compared to a lot of other industries in other countries, we don't have that kind of competence. So there's a huge problem in bringing those in a formalized way. I wish it was different. I wish we had much more people with doctoral degrees in the private sector, because then we can also drive technological disruptiveness to a much better level or higher level, which I think is important for everybody. Those of you who have read the Draghi report about competitiveness in Europe, this is utterly important. I don't think I had a question. I'm sorry.
No. We figured midway.
Yeah, maybe you can.
Maybe if I can answer, or not answer, but a comment on the comment. I'm happy to see that you've sort of because we're one of the things that we've been doing is that to participate in the build-up of the aquacultural education, and now we're having students for the sustainability program as well. So this is ongoing. It's really nice to hear. And when it comes to the professors or PhDs, I think if we can just come up with the right topics, we have them. We have quite a few of those. So it'll be great to see if we can sort of match something up. Yeah.
Employees with PhD degrees?
Yeah. In Tromsø, I think we have right now. I think we've dropped a few, but I think we have like 6 or 7 in Tromsø, and in Oslo we have a bunch because they are working with the bridges, so they shouldn't collapse. But that is the thing where the construction is sort of focused into that area when it comes to bridge and infrastructure. But we have a bunch, yeah.
Hi, I would like to first thank the panel. I'm Purjo. I'm affiliated with the Arctic University of Norway, UiT. I'm a senior researcher and director of the PhD program in engineering science. And I'm coming from Narvik, the Faculty of Engineering, Science and Technology. So when you were saying we don't have a specialty in UiT, I was like, what? We have industrial engineering department, we have the ArcLog, which has a specialty in intelligent manufacturing and logistics, and we have ArcIce, which has a specialty on icing and related technologies. So that was a comment, and actually we have the best skiing slope in Narvik, so you're also welcome to visit.
No, you don't.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a company from above the Arctic Circle, working mostly with NTNU. That is a little bit disappointing, I think. But anyway, I got a question about it's about the collaboration between industry and the universities. The first part of the question is we have something called the industry PhD. And when we reach out to the companies to ask if they are interested to fund their employees to come, for example, study a PhD program with us at UiT, you say that we are in the middle of economic crisis. So that is one question, that what are the criteria? And the other one is there are institutions like ours that, and there are many research groups that we are looking for industry partners who are willing to lead a project, and they are looking for institutional partners, but we don't know where to find them. Do you have a website, for example, to post the proposals you have for new projects where we can find possible collaboration areas? Yeah, thank you.
There was a lot of heat for me, I guess. I think we have to sort of cover all those after the talk, but thank you for your input. We'll definitely see what we can do if we know about the industry education in Narvik and work with those, especially the material group in Oslo. They work very, very tight with the Narvik community. So we'll see if we can do all those things. Regarding the criteria, we have an internal research or development program, so you apply for do those things and it's screened internally, and then the ones that get like money, they get approved. So yes, there is a structural screening of it. It's true.
Can I, because Vetle, you talked about these exact platforms that if I understood your question correctly, can you say a bit that it's not very easily accessed, is it? The questions or the topics that the local businesses send in when it comes to bachelor, how do you say, bachelor oppgave, bachelor thesis and master thesis, etc. Can you maybe comment very briefly on that?
Yeah, so we see a lot of orders on theses or subjects that businesses want students to write about, but the kind of main problem here is marketing the thesis or the missions to the students. We see that this is a place where it stops, and we see the applications for writing about it is not very high. So the alternative would be to teach the students where they can reach this, but already students have way too much information from beforehand, so this will be something that will be forgotten, and I think that's why the applicant numbers are so low now, and they're also really hard to find. So the universities needs to be bigger at marketing these kind of subjects to the students, and we see some faculties are really good at it, and some lack a little bit, and some doesn't get any response from the businesses. Yeah.
Hi. My name is Embla Sarnsdottir, and I work at the Norwegian Embassy in Reykjavik, Iceland. I just want to say that Vetle, I couldn't agree more. I was also a student here at the UiT, and what I was missing in my degree was an internship. I think it should be integrated in the degree, for sure. Now I work at the embassy. Why? I started as an intern, and now I've been there for 3 years. And Reykjavik is a lovely city, and they have a lot of like culture events and like sports events and everything. Tromsø has that too, you know. So Dag Rune just left, unfortunately, so he should hear this. But please just integrate it into the degrees, and I think more people would stay when they have like the opportunity to get to know the businesses and also like experience the social life, but also the professional life in Northern Norway. So great. And I was also in the student parliament and was working for this, but still hasn't happened. So
And I promise
keep
you,
working.
and I promise you, Dagrune will know about it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
And I might like to expand out that it's not just internships in the private sector, but it's also working with our public sector. So my university is something that is classified as a community engaged university. That's a Carnegie classification in the US, and we had to earn that. And what we had to show was that our students were doing research and educational projects that were in collaboration with community organizations. So it could be private sector, but it could also be a not-for-profit. So my students, since I teach in public policy, might be doing research for a labor union. They might be doing research for, we've got an initiative around building the music economy. And so we've been doing research and helping with survey development on understanding the impact that performing arts economy has on the municipality as a whole, which also has that effect if we show that we can build out a better, we need more clubs, we need more performing venues, we need to invest in that. That attracts more young people. It makes it a more vibrant place. And so there's some great benefits. And then it's also finding, the mayor's office and such. So I think that's the important piece too, is that in having a partnership with industry, we also need to keep the public sector and the nonprofit sector involved in that conversation as well, because that's how we collectively build a stronger community.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent point. Can I just borrow that very quickly? I have one final question that I hope we can discuss a bit. So, but if you have any more questions as well, just raise your hands. I will try to. Is that Frode has a question? And we have another question here as well. Please.
Maybe it's not a question, maybe it's more a comment.
Yes.
But thank you very much for very many wise words. And I like all the examples that you represent. But I was thinking when Dagrune had his comment, that maybe we are too conservative. Dagrune should have been here, of course.
Should have been here.
Maybe we in the university sector is too conservative. And of course not you, Daniel, but maybe also the businesses could be a little too conservative. The reason why I was thinking about this is that Dagrune mentioned, as it is in the Norwegian law, that to be allowed to use the professor title, you have to be a PhD. And I could give you an example of how stupid that could be. I am a professor myself in business and so on, so I'm proud of being that, and I appreciate all those with PhDs and real professors. But I have been the director of the High North Center for Business and Governance, and we try to build competence in very close cooperation with the businesses. And therefore we needed professors also coming from both the public sector, as Diane said, but also from the private sector. And I found a man who is he is outstanding. He has been the Minister of Finance in Norway. He has been the CEO of one of the biggest oil and gas organizations in Norway. And I went to the board and said, he will be a very nice professor. Not a real professor, but a business professor, because he knows that. And the most they could give him was a degree of a lecturer, because he had a master many years ago, but he was so competent and a very good teacher. So I think, but I understand the board, because it's, as Dagrune said, there is a law. So maybe we, the university people, as we rethink a little, maybe we have to find other ways of doing that. And maybe you also in the business, that you have to think, should we invite more of the academicians into the businesses? Maybe, and also in the county, maybe we should have some kind of positions there. So in that way, we could bridge that gap. That was my comment.
Thank you. Yes, a very good point, actually. There's a comment to that, but I think it was you. I saw your hand before, so you will get the word
It's
after.
a comment on the comment.
A comment on the
Yeah.
comment. Excellent.
My name is Björn Solvang. I'm a professor at UiT, the Arctic University of Norway, in the engineering education. What Frode said here is of course a good point of view, but also Nordland County, Troms County, and Finnmark County, together with UiT, has this näringslivsmentor arrangement. It's previously we call it a näringslivsprofessor, but since it was a protected title, we couldn't use it anymore. But as of today, we have a deadline for bringing in new application and applicants to this program during this week. So we are working on several of these possibilities, and I think that's a very good and initiative from the counties and from the municipalities to really connect and bridge the gap between the industries and the universities. Thank you.
Thank you. Be more radical. Does anyone have a comment on the comments on the comments? If not, we have a question. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I'm a recent graduate from the university here. But I'm also from Anchorage, Alaska, actually, and I did my bachelor's degree through the University of Alaska in Fairbanks. So I see and I feel similar stress here as I did back home, where businesses and universities are looking for those specific hard skills instead of the potential an applicant could bring. And this kind of ties into what we've been discussing with the internships and internships experience, but also like not looking for those specific skills. Because I studied biology, and some of the skills you gain through one seasonal job or one internship are so specific, and they don't always translate to other careers. So, I guess my question, if it's not directly directed to directly connected to this, but I guess my question is if you have any advice for people who are recently graduating or are students now to looking for a job and connecting with local businesses, because in my experience, a lot of people want to stay here or want to stay where they studied or where they're from, but then it's difficult.
I think that's a very, very good question. A very difficult one. Do you want to start?
I could start with that one. Biology right now is like phenomenal. Just go for it. I think there's so many businesses out there that would need like both biology, marine biology especially. That's what I see the most like urge from on that side, definitely. I can't say where or when, but I know exactly that one of our marine biologists just moved to Skøyen, Oslo, since she, her fiancé wanted to move, so they moved. So there is sort of that aspect of it. But I think right now you got sustainability, you got biology, you got all that sort of environmental side. So there are a lot of opportunities rising right now, definitely.
I'll just add a quick one to it before I pass it along. Something really cool that Dagrun mentioned, maybe not in detail, is that at UiT you have the faculty BFE, which is a combination of biology, fishing, and economics. A faculty you don't see very frequently amongst other universities. And the reason why the university's done this is because they want the biology and fishing studies to be direct with the businesses in the north. So they try to like specify it combining it with economy as well. So you will see that you have economy classes amongst the biology classes. So it gives you a broader education, as we spoke about earlier. But we also see that this is a really good aspect, especially for a lot of international students that come to Norway and then later on try to work here later. We see that they find it very useful to have this broader spectrum of the study because then they can apply to a broader range of jobs as well after they've finished.
And I will say that Akureyri actually has a whole school, and you can do a PhD where you're in that fisheries industry intersection. But the other piece is in terms of, and actually interdisciplinary studies in general are, we're seeing a lot more interest in that, with the challenge that we don't want to lose disciplinary expertise while we build interdisciplinary expertise. And so there's a lot of stress in understanding what does that mean. Having engineers who understand planning so that it's that you're both making a walkway that will not fall down and that it's also a bridge that has been placed in the right location to not disrupt reindeer herding and to meet the needs of school children. You know, those kinds of things. There's skill sets around how you talk to people as well as build the necessary infrastructure. But the other piece I'd say as a direct piece of advice is that places that do things that seem relevant to what you're doing, even if they're not hiring, a lot of people would be interested in just a chat where you approach them as an informational interview. I am interested in a career that looks like what you do. Would you be willing to talk with me about your pathway? And what often happens with those is you find somebody who, first of all, having somebody who's bright reaching out to you to interview them, that's you know, it's a bit of an ego boost, and then they will often know somebody who is looking, even if it's not them, or there may be something coming up, or there's the, you know, we could put something together for you. And so that's, I think, one of the pieces is to be willing to put yourself out there and reach out to people and say, I want to understand more about how you do what you do without any expectation, because building those relationships are also what gets somebody to come back to you and say, I just heard about something. Are you still looking?
Yeah, I totally agree on your point on looking into the potential, not only the specific skills. And for example, the business trainee program we have at OSE, you are working some periods in every department, so you know the whole company. No matter what kind of formal specific competence you got, no matter what degree you got. And my advice will be to sell and tell, open applications, both suggesting yourself as a trainee candidate or open application to any position relevant is a good way to go, and also just stepping on the doorstep and say, hello, here am I. We lack people, and we lack biologists, but we also lack generalists, so you should probably get a job if you just sell and tell.
I think most of it has been said, but I think we have to also, the businesses often think they're very good when they're traveling around, it's on conferences, meeting students, telling them about their businesses and work opportunities. So I also think the question is to all the businesses, because I think they also have to shift gears, think different in how to recruit, because yeah, you have to apply, you have to like an opener apply, take a phone call, but I also think that the responsibility is also at the businesses and the universities and probably public sector to get more open and also to be better, to talking to the students and show them the opportunities.
Thank you. I think that's actually, do you want a final word too? Yes?
Can I also ask a question as a volunteer? Yeah, I'm actually a student from NTNU, and I'm happen to work in Arctic. I'm majoring in maritime engineering, working with ice load, with interaction with ships. So, and I happen to be a non-EU student. Maybe the last one don't have to pay tuition fee. And I'm just now writing my master's thesis. I feel kind of same anxious with this students. So like I'm from Asia, so I don't have so much internship with companies. So I think I can do as good as European student academically, but about the internship, and I don't know much about how it works in the company. So, but actually I think I can do as good, but I need some opportunities from the company, and they willing to teach me something about it. So, and I will move forward, and I believe I can do good business. So, do you have any advice about?
Well, I was about to sort of address Emily's question first, but maybe it's the same. So, one topic which we haven't talked about yet is that when you work in Norway for like the National Roads Administration or national authorities, they always demand that you write the report or have the meetings in either Norwegian, Swedish, or Danish. And especially written reports, they want to have them in Norwegian. So language is like one of the key factors here in Norway, at least, definitely. I think it's the same thing in Sweden, that they want to have like the language in order not to sort of spread out too much. I don't know. Or maybe they're just very uncomfortable speaking English or reading English. It could be one aspect. But let's talk afterwards about your ice loads, right?
Excellent.
Yeah.
We need to pass it on. Okay. One, do you have a comment or do you have something else?
Just a comment to the...
Comment. He has first. Okay, you have 15 seconds.
That should be sufficient. Well, I just, before this job, I worked in public sector, and of course, your point is correct, but it's also a question about leadership. And I employed both a trainee and an intern from Bangladesh. Nobody of those, that guy or that girl, spoke any Norwegian, but then said, AI, ChatGPT, and they wrote great reports, analysis on climate gas pollution and everything, and we got a lot of knowledge from these people using AI, and then they learned Norwegian as we went down that road. So it's possible, also in public sector.
I just have a quick tip, under 15 seconds. It's just to be active. Just connect yourself to whatever you can, if it's a local organization or if you're volunteering here. That shows that you want to contribute, and that shows all of us that you're a guy that wants to drive forward and wants to get a job and wants to do it. So it really shows. So just be open and work for it in every way you can.
Thank you so much. We have run out of time. We could speak about language. That was actually my next question. So I'm very happy that we managed to touch upon that either way. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you to the panelists. I think we've covered at least some bridge building aspects, and hopefully we will just bring this along with everything we do. Thank you. And